Right now, sitting wherever you are, your heart is beating, your lungs are pulling in air, and somewhere deep inside your nervous system, a very old alarm is quietly scanning for threats that no longer exist. You're not in danger, but part of your brain does not know that. And the real reason why is far stranger than you think. Your body is running ancient software on modern hardware. The systems keeping you alive today were not built for the world you live in. They were built for a world where something wanted to eat you, and those systems never got the update. This is the story of your threat response, and it will change the way you understand almost everything your body does without asking you first. Go back 2 million years. Your ancestors were not at the top of the food chain, not even close. Homo erectus, one of your earliest human relatives, shared the African savanna with leopards, hyenas, saber-toothed cats, and enormous crocodiles. Paleoanthropologist Robert Sussman spent decades studying the fossil record of early hominins and found something that reshaped how scientists think about human evolution. Your ancestors were not primarily hunters. For most of their history, they were prey. The evidence is in the bones. Early hominin fossils show claw marks, puncture wounds, and gnaw patterns left by large predators. Eagle talon marks have been found on the skulls of Australopithecus africanus, meaning your distant relatives were being snatched from the ground and carried into the air. You come from a long line of animals that were hunted, chased, caught, and eaten. And that left a mark on your nervous system that no amount of modern comfort has erased. When your brain detects a potential threat, it triggers a response that neuroscientist Joseph LeDoux spent most of his career mapping. The signal bypasses your rational thinking entirely. It takes a shortcut, traveling from your sensory organs directly to a small almond-shaped structure called the amygdala, deep in the center of your brain. The amygdala does not wait for your prefrontal cortex to analyze the situation. It fires first. It asks questions, never. In under 200 milliseconds, your body begins to change. Adrenaline floods your bloodstream. Your heart rate accelerates. Blood is rerouted away from your digestive system and toward your large muscles. Your pupils dilate to take in more light. Your pain threshold rises. Your hearing sharpens. Your vision narrows to a tunnel focused on the threat. You did not decide any of this. Your body decided for you. This response is called the fight or flight response. You have heard the name. But what you may not know is just how ancient and how extreme it actually is. Physiologist Walter Cannon first described it in 1915, but the mechanism itself is hundreds of millions of years old. Versions of it exist in fish, in reptiles, in birds, in every mammal that has ever lived. Your stress response is so old, it predates the existence of your own species by an almost incomprehensible margin. And here is the problem. That system was never designed for the modern world. It was designed for a world where threats were physical, immediate, and usually over in under 3 minutes. A predator either caught you or it did not. You either escaped or you did not. The threat resolved. Your body recovered. Your cortisol levels dropped. Your heart rate came back down. You rested. That is not the world you live in. The threats you face today are invisible. They are chronic. They are slow. A difficult relationship, financial pressure, a job that makes you anxious every single morning, social humiliation, public embarrassment, uncertainty about the future. None of these things will bite you. None of them will eat you. But your amygdala cannot tell the difference. Psychologist Bruce McEwen spent decades researching what he called allostatic load, the cumulative wear and tear on the body caused by chronic stress, repeated activation of your threat response, even in the absence of any real physical danger, causes measurable damage to the body over time. Elevated cortisol levels shrink the hippocampus, the part of your brain responsible for memory and learning. They suppress your immune system. They raise your baseline blood pressure. They increase your risk of cardiovascular disease, metabolic disorders, and depression. Your body is trying to outrun a predator that does not exist, and the running is killing it. There is a particular piece of this system that explains a great deal about modern life. It is called hypervigilance. When your threat detection system is activated frequently enough, it begins to lower its threshold. It becomes more sensitive. It starts flagging things as dangerous that are not dangerous. A raised eyebrow from your manager, a message left unread, a strange sound in the middle of the night, a slight change in someone's tone of voice. Your brain, trained by millions of years of predation to err on the side of caution, is doing exactly what it was built to do. In the savannah, the cost of a false alarm was low. You ran for no reason. Fine. The cost of missing a real threat was death. So your brain evolved to be wrong on the safe side, over and over and over again. In the modern world, That same setting means your nervous system treats your inbox like a predator. Think about what that actually means. The moment you check your phone first thing in the morning and see a message that makes you anxious, your body launches the same cascade of hormones and physical changes that once helped your ancestors sprint from a leopard. The same chemicals, the same physiological transformation, the ancient machinery running on a modern trigger. And, unlike the leopard, the message does not resolve in 3 minutes. It sits there. It follows you. It replays in your mind. Your cortisol levels stay elevated for hours. Your body never fully stands down. Now here is the counterintuitive part. This system is not a flaw. It is one of the most successful survival adaptations in the history of life on Earth. It is precisely because your ancestors were so exquisitely tuned to threat that they survived long enough to have children, who survived long enough to have children, who eventually became you. Every generation that made it through was screened for hypervigilance. The ones who were too relaxed were eaten. You're descended exclusively from the paranoid ones, and you carry their nervous system. Researcher Jaak Panksepp, who spent his career mapping the emotional systems of the mammalian brain, identified fear as one of the oldest and most deeply wired of all emotional circuits. It does not sit in the newer parts of your brain, the parts that plan and reason and reflect. It sits in the deep, ancient subcortical structures that you share with every other mammal on the planet. Those structures do not care what century it is. So what do you do with this? The first thing is simply to know it. When your threat response fires and there is no leopard in the room, what you are experiencing is not weakness. It is not irrationality. It is your ancient nervous system doing exactly what it was built to do, in an environment it was never designed for. The anxiety you feel before a difficult conversation is the same biological machinery that once helped someone who looked a lot like you escape a predator in the dark. The second thing is to understand what actually resets the system. Your body needs a signal that the threat is over. In the ancestral environment, that signal was physical. You ran, you fought, you climbed. The movement itself metabolized the stress hormones and told your body the episode had ended. Psychologists Emily and Amelia Nagoski, who researched this stress cycle extensively, found that physical movement remains one of the most effective ways to complete the biological stress response, to tell your nervous system that it is safe to stand down. The predator is gone. You survived. Your body just needs to hear that in a language it understands. Tonight, when you feel that familiar tightening in your chest for no clear reason, when your heart picks up its pace over something that cannot hurt you, you will know what is happening. The most sophisticated survival machine that evolution ever produced is doing its job. It is watching for leopards that are no longer there. The leopards are gone, but the watching never stopped.